So thank you, everyone. I know it's a little bit tiny on the screen, but my name is Lakshmi Valluri, and I'm an ambassador for Power to Fly. And I'm very, very excited to welcome Renee, who is an international speaker, a coach, and she's also the CEO and founder of Empowered Her Leadership. But before I turn it over to her to talk about her background, and she's going to be talking about imposter syndrome and tips for success in building self-confidence. I want to go over a few housekeeping items. We absolutely encourage all of you to participate. I did give Renee a list of questions that many of you submitted, so during her presentation she'll make sure she covers all of it. At any time, feel free to come off mute or the camera, but I did want to let you know that we are recording this. So if you do come off mute, you will become part of the live recording. So if you want to remain completely anonymous, then drop your question in chat. I'll monitor it throughout. And then if you want to remain even more anonymous, you can just send me a private message. If once we finish recording, we will send you the recording in a few days. But if you're super excited, you want to watch a replay or you want to share it with friends, please head on to YouTube. In about 15 to 20 minutes after the call, the recording should show up there. And we want you to follow us or to subscribe to YouTube so that you can get a list of all our other events. And also, please follow us on social media. So we are on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and pretty much the main social media channels. So I will actually turn this over to Renee, and I'll stop sharing to talk about who you are, what your background is, and give us some tips.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. I'm excited that you are here. I'm excited to be here. Lakshmi, thank you so much for this invitation. I'm so happy to be here to support you in what you're doing in your journey, what you're doing to make a difference for others so that you can have a positive impact on them so that they can shine and rise up with whatever that they want and have set for their goals and intentions. So I'm happy to be here with everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen. I might not be able to see the chat. So Lakshmi, if you can at any time just pop in and say something so I can stop because I may not be able to see the chat. I might need to get a third monitor. So I am going to see if I can multitask here. Okay, I was not able to. I'm going to try this again. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. All right. I knew I was going to have, okay, hold on. I have it here. Okay. When I shared a screen, it wasn't showing the slide deck. So let me just, okay, here we go. I'm going to bring it over here. I got it now. Okay, it's going to go into presenter mode. There we go. Can you see the full screen?
I can.
Okay, perfect. All right. So we're going to talk about 5 secrets to ditch imposter syndrome and create unshakable self-confidence. So I want you to put in the chat, where does imposter syndrome show up for you? The number one way to step into confidence is understanding where is imposter syndrome showing up and where is my lack of confidence coming in? What triggers that? So put that in the chat. Lakshmi, if you see anybody, put it in the chat. Please share it with me because I am not able to see the chat.
Definitely.
So a little bit about who I am. I am a former stressed out workaholic. Who here can relate with me on that? I know what it's like to give up everything and still not feel appreciated, still not feel like I was heard, seen, and respected by my peers, by my superiors, by my executive team. And I thought it was me. I have 2 degrees. I went to the right schools, but I'm like, what did I miss? How come I'm still feeling like an imposter? How come I'm still not having that unshakable confidence that has me speaking up with authenticity? I thought it was just me until I went to a women's networking event where I realized that I was not alone. Other women in the room raised their hands and they said, me too. I'm a lawyer and I'm surrounded by men and I don't know how to use my voice. I'm a doctor and I don't know how to insert myself into conversations where I'm speaking as the authoritative. So if anyone can relate to that, put that in the chat. Just say me too. So I know I'm still not alone.
And we do have a few that did say they doubt themselves about whenever they doubt themselves about being successful in a new industry, when they look at job listings or when they attempt to champion for themselves during a networking event. So.
Okay, that is so good. We're going to be covering a lot of that. The networking event, I can give you some tips on that at the end if we have some time. There's a lot of information. Have a pen and paper ready to go. To have your phone ready and take pictures of the slides. I highly recommend you doing that. I'm going to be giving you so much information that there is no way you're going to be able to absorb it all. Write what you can and take pictures of the slides. And then Lakshmi will interrupt me when you guys have a question to share. So this training is not about how do I just change my mindset. There's no cookie cutter format for this. This is not about just hearing something and say like, oh, okay, I know what to do. This is all about fast action. Lakshmi knows anything about me. I'm all about implementation. I'm about action. If you don't put things into action, you're not going to be able to implement it. So this is for you if you second guess yourself. You second guess your decision making. You let fear step in and tell you a story about what your future is going to look like. Even though you know it is not true, these stories start creeping in. And because you don't have high performance habits, you don't have power hacks set in place, you don't know how to stop the story from being on a loop. And then you make decisions based off the unknown. And then again, this is a great snapshot here if you want to take a picture of it on how it shows up or when it shows up, that lack of confidence when imposter syndrome kicks in. So you know what you really want, but may not know how to put it into words. Better yet, you know what you want, but have no idea. Where do I start? What should it look like? You know you have the right skill sets, which is confidence. Confidence is about having the skill set to start a new career, start a new job. The skill set is also about I know how to figure out what I don't know. That's a skill set. That is confidence. When you have this, you're able to identify when imposter syndrome kicks in. Like, oh no, I know that's not a true story. And what you're going to learn here is how to stop those negative thoughts and start telling yourself an empowered, impactful story. This webinar is going to help you with all this. So this training, again, I'm giving you a lot of information. Have a note and piece of paper and pen ready. Have your camera ready to take pictures with your phone. But this training is about building up your confidence and energy from the inside out. Before a change can happen, you need to identify what triggers my self-doubt. Is it when I hear other people? Is it when I'm in a large room? Is it when I'm hearing conversations that I don't know how to insert myself in? Is it when I don't know how to adapt to change? Or I'm not aware of what I'm not aware of. I cannot see my blind spots. So what you have here are just a few of some of examples on when self-doubt pops up. Now this slide I love. This is about what I call laying down the foundation. This is a 30,000 bird's eye view of how to identify and incorporate high performance habits. Put in the chat if you heard about high performance habits, and if so, what does that mean to you? And Lakshmi, if anyone puts anything in the chat, I would love to hear that. But this is also about developing your unshakable self-confidence. So this is your opportunity to build unshakable self-confidence with 5 power hacks I'm going to share with you. So here they are listed here, and we're going to go through as many as we can with the time allowed. So this is number 1, power hack number 1, defining your values and draw boundaries. This is a game changer. If you get anything out of this, training, it's this: defining your values and drawing boundaries. This is the first thing I have my clients do. This is laying down the foundation. Every decision that you make and the goals that you set in place are all going to be based upon your values and the boundaries that you put in place. So you know that everything you do is in alignment with where you want to go. So confidence, this comes from knowing your values and boundaries and making healthy decisions from them as they are non-negotiable. I want you to really take that in. Your values and boundaries are non-negotiable. So put it in the chat if you can relate. Does your confidence come from what others think about you or what you think about yourself? And if you typed in yes, it comes from me or it comes from others, I want to say you're not alone, because my confidence used to come from others about how much money I made, the promotions I got, the recognition I received. My value was based off other people's perceptions, and of course we can never measure up, right? And we think that they're putting more thought into us than they really are. They're focused on themselves, but we put all our time and energy on thinking and all our decision making based off what other people's perceptions are of us, and we're giving them way more credit than we need to be doing. They're not giving us that amount of attention that we think that they are. So when you have your non-negotiables set, you are now in a better mindset for decision making. You can create goals that are in alignment with your values. So like I have here, your priorities are in alignment. So instead of, let's just give an example. My non-negotiable is I have my morning routine, because I know when I do my morning routine, which consists of working out, I got that blood pumping, it's flowing, I got the energy going, my mindset, my creativity is on point, and I'm ready to crush my day, and everything just happens a little bit more effortlessly. But when I negotiate that and I said, "Oh, I'm not gonna work out today," my day is long, I'm not as productive, I'm not as sharp, and I'm not really like in the greatest mood either, because I did not set the tone for my day. I let that be negotiable. And that's something that we don't want to do as high performers. So incorporating your values, this is what it looks like. Using your voice. I will speak up when I know the answer, or I know I have value to add to the conversation. Your decision making, I will make decisions based from values and goals versus being talked into doing something. I have a client who's so frustrated with herself. She allowed herself to be talked into something that was sold to her as this great opportunity. And she couldn't be more miserable, because she did not put her values as a non-negotiable.
Can I ask a question, Renee?
Yeah.
So I know, well, and anyone in the audience, if you agree with this as well, please put it into chat. So one of the challenges is if we work in an environment where unconsciously or consciously the going above and beyond, quote unquote, is rewarded, and I want to be going to that next level, how does one find that balance between, yes, I want to impress the boss, I want to do all this, versus is that where the values come in to say,
So that's where your
yeah,
boundaries come into play. And that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. So that's a little bit different. I will go ahead and give you a quick answer. Because you said, I want to go to the next level. So that's a conversation you're going to have with your boss, right? I want to get to that next level. I want this position. What do I need to do today? What do I need to do in the next 30 days, 90 days, the next 6 months? What do I need to do to ensure that I'm set up for success for achieving that next level? And then they're going to give you a game plan. And then that's how you're able then to utilize and insert your voice, saying, hey, I want to do a check-in. I want to put some milestones in here. This is where I'm at. Am I on track still? Is there anyone else I should be working with, talking with? Is there any projects that you can delegate to me that, or I can participate in? Are there some courses that I can sign up for? When you get their buy-in, you have them now as a mentor, as a support system to help you get to that next level. Now, if that next level isn't at that company, you can still say, I would like to have more responsibilities. What can that look like? What can you do for me today so I can have more responsibilities, so I can be more of value? Now, that is a boundary because let's say you didn't speak up and then your boss says, well, I'm going to have you go do this instead. And your boundary is you didn't say no, you just allowed it to happen. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. All right. So we're going to talk about what confidence comes from. Where does it come from? And how do you use it to define your values? So when you have your values, a value could be like, I don't want to work. So here's a great example. I was when I was in the corporate world still, I was applying for this high level position. And what they did was they made test to test on animals. Well, that was against my values. I didn't want to participate in being part of creating something that tests chemicals on animals. That was against my values. Now, if I didn't have my values in place and I didn't have them as non negotiables, that would have been something I probably would have said yes to and would have been miserable each and every day. And then just that weight of that guilt on me, knowing that I was participating in something that was against my values would have affected my mindset, my mental state, my physical state. I would have had anxiety. I would not be a top performer because I would be hating each and every day and every moment and every decision I made, knowing that I was contributing to something that I was against. So that's how values, having your non negotiables, can come into place. Now, the importance of defining your values is to gain clarity. How many people here, put in the chat, feel like you have clarity around your goals? And then Lakshmi, let me know if anyone puts anything in the chat. But this is about being interactive. It's important that you participate in the chat because this is how you get clarity. You're actually voicing what you have in your mind, those thoughts. This is your opportunity to ask questions in a safe space and to raise your hand saying, wow, I don't have clarity. I thought I did, but now that I think about it, I don't. That's the beginning stages of you identifying I need clarity so I am in alignment with my goals, or I'm creating goals that are bigger than what I thought was possible for me. Now, healthy boundaries, they are amazing because they empower you to say no with authenticity. How many people here would like to be able to say no with authenticity? Being able to say no without being guilty, being able to say no as the expert in what you do, the expert in your field, the expert in your lane. Because without them, you give control to others on what you do and how you're going to show up. So this is a great one to also take a picture of because you want to
And
know.
I wanted to remind people we're also recording this. So if for some reason you're not able to take all the notes, you can play the recording on YouTube. We do have a member of the audience who has said, I'm in a transition in my life right now, and I feel like my goals are shifting and I've lacked clarity.
Okay, that's really good. So what I recommend to you now is write out, put a list, put 2 columns, what you want your goals to be, and then what are the gaps from where you are today and then where you want to be tomorrow with those goals. That's going to help you immediately gain clarity. So thank you for that question. Now, how do healthy boundaries serve you? This is really great. Healthy boundaries, especially if you're working in the corporate world and you are managing teams. I used to manage teams globally. So it was like a 24/7 job and I had no boundaries. So I would wake up at 3 in the morning to be on a call with Germany. And then my boss would want me in the office like 3 hours later. And I was just so exhausted. And then every day would kind of just be in this rotation where it was just always being available because I never said no. I did not say no because I felt if I said no, I would be looked upon negatively. If I said no, they would say, oh, well, we need someone else then who can be available. I made these stories up in my head without knowing if these were true. Would my boss be upset if I said, no, I'm not going to be available after 7 p.m., but I'll be back on at 6 a.m.? Would he have been upset, or would he have supported that? I didn't even give him an opportunity because I was too busy with the stories in my head. So responding back with assertiveness is saying, I'm going to be offline from 7 p.m., but I'll be back on at 6 a.m., sets you up as the expert, positions you as an authoritative figure, that I have healthy boundaries in place. And from 6 a.m. till 7 p.m., you're going to get 110% of me. Of course, you're going to have breaks in between, but you're going to let them know you're going to get the best of me. But there's also, I'm a human and I have a life outside of this and I'm going to live it. You will be amazed on how people will respond positively when you do show up like that. And you're also being an example to others. You're being an example to your team on how it looks to have healthy boundaries. So this is where I want you to grab a piece of paper, draw a line, a horizontal line. I'm sorry, a horizontal line. So you have a top and you have a bottom. And then I want you to write above the line, what is acceptable to you? And below, what will you no longer tolerate? So the above could be, let me see, the above line could be, what I will accept is responding to emails and texts from this time to this time. Well, I will no longer tolerate is being called at midnight and being expected to answer the phone. That's just, that those are my examples. That would be me if I would, my boss literally would call me at midnight and not even just call me, he would Skype me. So I'd have to be on camera and I wouldn't answer. But he kept doing it. And I never told him no. I just kept ignoring it. But he saw I was online. I should have had that conversation with him that just because I'm online does not mean I'm available to talk on camera. So again, what's acceptable? Here are some descriptions. Take a picture. Let it be inspiration for you on how you want to draw your list out. So I'm going to give you just a few seconds to take a picture of this. Okay. And then I love this one, self-leadership power hacks. And power hack is just like, it's a tip. It's a strategy. And again, this is a great one to take another picture of. If you are multitasking, right now, I'm asking you to come back. I want you to be part of this conversation. Be part of the conversation in the chat. We have a tendency to want to do a lot at the same time, right? I'm going to watch a webinar and I'm going to check my email. I'm going to respond to email. I'm going to be a part of a webinar and I'm going to be on my phone. I'm going to be on social media. This is great information. What I'm sharing with you today, people spend almost up to $1,000 getting this information, and Lakshmi's gifting this to you. So I highly recommend you and encourage you to be part of the conversation. So down here, the self-leadership power hacks, this is about communication skills. And I have a whole training about how to show up as an impactful leader with your communication style. So for this webinar, I'm going to share you a few tips. So some of you may have heard of what I call like I statements. And I statements, an example could be like, I want this. I want you to do this. I need this. And then the person automatically goes into like a defense mode, like, whoa, like, did I miss something? Am I being yelled at? Am I in trouble? Am I being punished? Because you're coming from a place of, I want this. I need this. And I want you to ask more open-ended questions like, I have this request that I need from you. Can you no, I don't want to use that because we want to set ourselves up as an example, as a leader. So an open-ended question could be more, you don't want it to be a yes or a no. So let me think of a better example that I want to read. Okay, let's just look at the slide. So take the solution going forward. So going forward, let's make a pact that this will always get done by this time. Will that work for you? Versus, I told you I wanted to get this done. It did not get done. What happened? You can say, going forward, let's make sure that we always have this done by 5 p.m. on Friday. Does that work for you? Can you make that work? Do you need support? What do you need from me to ensure that you're able to execute on this? And then confirm agreement. Does this work for you? Now they feel like they are part of the conversation. They feel like they're part of the bigger picture. Nobody wants to be talked down to. Nobody wants to be told or made to feel like they're not enough. Let them be part of the decision making, even though they're not making the decision. People want to feel like they're part of something bigger than just themselves. So I love this quote. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. That is so good. Okay, so we're going to get to power hack number 2, self-sabotage. Who here does self-sabotage? I'm raising my hand because I've done it so many times without even knowing I was doing it. And this is what stumps most people. They allow their mind to predict the future, and then they act accordingly as if it was true. An example would be, I'm never going to get that job. Therefore, it is so, right? Because you never applied. No one will ever listen to me. Therefore, you never speak up. You make it true. So it's pretty powerful what our mind can do for us. So here are some examples of what I've heard from past clients, and I can tell you none of them were true. I can't make a change. It's too difficult. They hadn't made a change because they didn't know where to start. I'm not smart like everyone else. Well, those people that you probably think are really smart have those same thoughts and conversations with themselves. I work with C-suite executives, and they have the same thoughts and the same insecurities. I'm going to be found out I'm a fraud. I'm going to be found out that I'm not as smart as they think I am. They hired me to do something that I don't even know if I can do. We all have these conversations in our head, and that's why it's so important to participate in conversations to get them outside your head and say, is this true or is it not true? Have we had any responses in the chat yet?
There are a few who agreed, including myself, with the self-sabotage.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So why does this show up? Fear. And I want you to, if you haven't heard of this acronym, I want you to adopt it. Fear is false evidence appearing real. Isn't that so good? When you can think of fear like that, false evidence appearing real, you're like, oh, well, let me challenge this and see if this is really true. So this is another great slide to take a picture of. And these are some of the power hacks that I recommend to help you beat self-sabotage. But be warned, you can't do this once and expect a shift. You can't expect your mindset to be different by doing it once. Repetition happens when you do it over and over. It's been proven by science that it takes 66 days to change a habit. So write that down. 66 days to change a habit. 66 days repeatedly, not like within a 6-month span and say like, oh, that was a total of 66 days broken up. No, 66 days consistently is what it takes to change from an old habit to a new habit. So to stop the self-sabotage, you need to put things in place that are going to help you. I call them guardrails. What are those triggers that pop up that we need to create a power hack around to ensure that you're able to stay on track with your 66 days of incorporating a new behavior? So this takes dedication. And again, I work with high performers who are about action, taking action. Regardless how easy, how hard, how ugly, how messy it is, it's about taking action. Change does not come easily. If it did, you wouldn't need to be here, right? We would just magically know all the information. So it's just like,
oh, good.
no, I was just gonna say it's like yoga, right? Yoga is a practice. We never master it. It's always a practice. But what were you gonna go ahead and say?
I was going to talk about that second line because earlier one of the audience member did say that the imposter syndrome comes in when they don't check all the boxes on the job listings. And I remember you told me the real truth about that second one. You can't apply for that position. You don't hit all the check boxes. So what's the real truth about that?
Yes, you guys are gonna love this. Here's the truth, okay? When men apply for a job, if they see they have 10% of what's being required, they apply, and they apply with confidence. Why do they do that? Because they know what I don't know, I can figure out. Women, we look at a job description and we go into fear mode, fight or flight. And we're like, oh no, if I don't hit all the check boxes, I'm not qualified. I'll never get an interview. I'm going to be fake. They're going to find me out. I'm going to be embarrassed. I'm going to humiliate myself. I'm going to get fired. So then you never apply. Truth is, when you see these job descriptions, the employer really is looking between 40 to 60% of these qualifications being met. I'm going to say that again. When employers are putting out those job descriptions, they're only looking between 40 and 60% of those bullets being met. So if you're looking at it and saying, I don't hit 100%, you don't need to. I want you to let that go. And if you hold on to that, that's a choice that you made so you can continue to play small. I'm just going to call it out like it is. And if someone gets upset, that's good. I want to push that boundary for you and I want to challenge you. Why do you want to continue to play small? If you don't hit all the check boxes, are you not resilient enough to figure it out? Have a network of people? Lakshmi's here to empower other people to gain the skills and the resourcefulness that they need so that they can reach their next level. You have no excuse to play small. Woo! Okay. Truth bombs there. Okay. So I want you to draw a line just like you see here on this slide. And I want you to write what are you afraid of? What does fear say to you? Does it tell you to stay quiet? Does it say don't apply for the job? Does it say don't speak up when you know the answers? And if it says don't speak up if you know the answers, well, then the truth is it's my role to speak up. I was hired in a position to use my voice. So it's my right to use my voice. So here, you can't apply for that position. You don't hit all the check boxes. The truth is, I have a can-do attitude and I know I can figure anything out. So I want you all to do the same thing for yourself. Again, clarity. Clarity is a key. It's the pathway to identifying self-sabotage, self-confidence, self-esteem, self-awareness, setting goals, having intentions. Clarity is like the gateway to all great things. And then how this power hack works is, as you can see, well, let me go back. Now you may ask, how should I do these activities, Renee? Well, or why should I do them? It's because you can't change what you are not aware of. And in order to become aware of, we have to identify what's holding me back. What role is fear playing? What tools do I need to shift so I have high performance habits, that I'm in integrity with my values, I have boundaries in place, and I now know how to use my voice. So here's why you can't do anything about what you're not aware of. Again, clarity, right? The last star, get outside your comfort zone. It will be easier to reach your goals and your vision. That's a good one. So power hack number 3, self-awareness. Again, this is where magic happens. I love this power hack because when you develop self-awareness, you get to rewrite your narrative. You get to create a new story. You are the author, director, producer of your life, of your story. I want you to own that. You get to disrupt those old patterns, those old behaviors, and you get to redesign what you want your future to look like. So here are some areas to get you started on identifying your self-awareness. You want to know your value proposition. That is, what do I bring to the table that only I can provide? That could be your applied experience. It could be your expertise. It could be your education. It could be those failures you had in the past that are now learned lessons. This is where only I can do it because only I bring all this to the table. You want clarity on what is your unique advantage. That is what makes you different and special from anyone else. And then finally, what can you do or what have you done that no one else would believe or can do? When you're not self-aware, it's easy for bad habits, self-sabotage to kick back in.
Can I ask one question here? So it actually came from an audience.
Yeah.
You talked about advocating for yourself, and one of the audience members mentioned as well that they are hesitant to sell themselves. So, one of the questions we have received was how does one straddle that fine line between advocating for oneself and being perceived as arrogant?
Great question. So, arrogance gonna come from when you don't have that confidence and belief in yourself. So you're gonna be arrogant about that. Like, well, I should have just gotten that because I've been here the longest. I should have just got that promotion. I should have just got that raise. I should be making this much money just because. That's arrogance. Confidence comes in like, I want this position because I've done X, Y, and Z. And along with that, I spent time developing my professional skill sets, my leadership skills. I've taken the time to identify the gaps from where I was to where I'm at today. I know what works and what doesn't work here in the organization. I've built and cultivated healthy relationships with key stakeholders here that I know will be part of ensuring my success in this new role. Do you hear the difference between being arrogant and being confident, self-assured, self-aware?
You have facts to back it up.
Yes. And you want to have the confidence within your voice. You don't want to say, you don't want, here's a great example. Tonality. Lakshmi knows this. Tonality is 38% of communication. Your words are only 7%. Your body language is 55%. So back to tonality, 38% of communication. If I say, I spent time developing my professional skill sets, and I know that they're going to be of value in my role, versus I spent quite amount of time developing my professional skill sets so I can ensure that I am a leader of the future. I can bring innovation to the picture. My tonality was so much more confident in that second version versus, oh, I could bring innovation and creativity to the job. We want to use our voice to display our confidence within ourselves. That's what people want. They want to know, can I trust you? Can you help us achieve the goals? Can you be part of the vision and the mission that we have here? Or do you need to be babysat? And a lot of it comes from our tonality. Do we sound like we even believe ourselves? And if we don't, no one else is going to believe us either. All right. So self awareness, back to our amazing training, is also about knowing what type of impact do I want to have with others, with my team, with my organization, with my business, with my family, with my relationships. What type of impact do I want to have? And you want to think about, what am I passionate about? What gets me up in the morning? And if you don't know what that is, I challenge you to think about that. What will get me up in the morning excited, motivated? What will get me up out of bed that I wake up before my alarm goes off? What do you enjoy doing? What gets you energized that you can't wait to create that impact? And then what are the benefits of that? So again, this is another one to take a picture of. As you see, passion plus being motivated plus having an impact creates self-awareness. So drilling down to self-awareness, what do I love? Who do I help? Who do I want to help? What do I see that others can't? What are those blind spots? Am I a big picture thinker? Not everybody is. What do people typically come to me for? That's how you'll identify what your superpowers are. So then based on what you wrote or what you do write later, you can put it together using this fill in the blank statement. So if you have your phone, take a picture of this so you can come back and do this later. This is a great exercise for you on identifying your superpowers. What are you passionate about? What motivates you? What type of impact do you want to have? And what's the benefit of that? So for me, I'll read the middle one. I enjoy breaking down complex conceptual information into digestible strategies that inspire and motivate my clients. So this is a great example of kind of like how to write it out once you put the components together. Great quote. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. Eleanor Roosevelt. I love this one. All right, power hack 4, recognizing your strengths. We kind of talked about that, right? What do people come to you for? That's how you identify what your superpowers are. And then here is where we debunk self-sabotage, self-talk. Who's ready to debunk that? Put a me in the chat. You're ready to debunk self-sabotage that makes us believe in the stories that are not true. And here you're going to identify your key strengths versus focusing on future failures that have no proof that will happen. So key strengths, I know I'm a great speaker versus focusing, oh, but no one will ever want to listen to me. Do I know that to be true? Well, actually, I know that's not true, but it's a story I could easily tell myself to prevent me from stepping outside my comfort zone, for creating those goals that are bigger than what I could have imagined on my own. And this activity is to help shift your mindset so you can start telling yourself a new story. Again, like I shared with you earlier, you are the creator, you are the director, you are the producer of your life. It's time for you to start participating in it. And this activity can be from any aspect of your life, career or personal. So I'm not going to read it through and take a picture of it so you can come back and do this activity. So I'm just for time's sake, I'm going to through this. Okay, so recognizing your strengths, and then based off what I shared, you want to pick out what skills do I tap into in order to achieve what I have done. So for me, it's tapping into, I make everything a challenge. That's how I'm able to do things. So for me, it's like, okay, I like a challenge. So what do I want that I can see as a challenge versus an obstacle? And this is a great one to take a picture of as well. This is a knowledge bucket that I have listed here to help you get things kick started, and on identifying what things what things I have achieved, and what strengths, what skills did I tap into achieving them. And then ask yourself, what knowledge, transferable skills, or characteristics did I use? And you can Google online for strengths to help you brainstorm. But like, were you a kind and thoughtful person, to achieve that goal? Were you strategic and organized? Another great one to take a picture of. All right, and here's another great one. A lot of people have a hard time saying or sharing nice things about themselves. And Lakshmi, you kind of were tapping into that. How do I speak up without sounding cocky? That's a story you told in your head. If I speak up, I will sound cocky. And then I bet you anything, because you have that story in your head, you don't speak up. So the one thing I hear the most is, I don't want to toot my own horn. Toot, toot. Because they have told themselves the story that, well, my accomplishments were just part of my job. They don't count. In actuality, they do count. If you see people who are in sales, they're like, I just got this new bid. I got this new contract. I just sold $5 million in this. They want everyone to know their accomplishments. But as women, we're sometimes feeling like, well, I don't want to be bragging. I don't want to sound cocky. That was just part of my job. That's what is expected of me. But when it comes time for raises, promotions, recognition, the people who get remembered are those people who were shouting out, I just got this new contract. I just sold $5 million in, these widgets. Those are the people who get remembered. So it's to your advantage to start speaking up. And if you're not comfortable speaking up, you can have a one-on-one with like your boss, or just shoot them an email every week saying like, here's what I accomplished for the week, and have it being a running tally. So when it's time for review time, he doesn't have to or she does not have to remember what you've done. They can go back to your list of accomplishments, and nor do you have to remember like, wow, what did I accomplish this whole year? You have it, and you can also put a highlight reel together from that at a high level to capture like, these are the major things I accomplished. It's also really great for your resume and your LinkedIn profile. All right, and then almost feeling stuck. If you're feeling stuck, like, I don't know what I want, I don't know my goals, I don't know what will motivate me, I don't know like what I want next for myself. Creating a vision board is a great first start on making that what you have in your head a reality. Putting what you have stuck in your head onto paper. Like, what colors bring me joy? What colors make me feel relaxed? What sounds do I like? What are the views I want to be seen every day? Where do I want to go? What type of trips do I want to take? Just have fun with it. And a vision board could just be something that you just also look online and, create a little board like in Canva, or print them out and cut them out. Make it fun. Don't make it feel like it's work. Another thing you can do is journal your thoughts. Create what I'm grateful list. I have Lakshmi doing this, and I encourage all my clients to do this in the morning, in the night, and at night, because it releases endorphins where it puts you in a good mood. It's called being happy. And we want to set the tone for our day. What am I grateful for? And it could be, for me, I'm always grateful for my comfortable pillow and my bed. I'm like, oh my gosh, I get to wake up to this. I get to wake up to look at sunshine or watch the sunrise. It could be things like that. I get to hear the birds sing. And then listen to a song that makes you feel good. Music creates an atmosphere, right? Listen to a song that makes you feel good. Or if you're feeling like in a funk, listen to a song that has you jumping up and down and gets your heart going, and has you elevated and feeling good again. All right, the last one. Success habits. I love this one. So again, 66 days to remove an old habit and bring in a new habit. And habits only work when you put them in place. You can only incorporate new habits when you release an old one. How many times have you heard someone say, let me see, I'm going to stop smoking. But they have a habit of, I'm used to having something in my hand. I'm used to a fix. I'm used to this high that I get. So we need to put things in place before I can stop smoking. I need to stop that ritual, those feelings, those triggers that come up when I want to have a smoke. So it's about putting things in place to help you with that transition. New habits allow you to dream bigger. Instead of saying, oh, I don't hit all those bullets on the job description, a new habit now is saying, I hit 30% of them. I know I can quickly figure those out. I'm going to do some research so I can talk to them in my job application. I could talk to them in my resume. I could bring some of those and sprinkle it into my LinkedIn profile. That's a little tip right there. So again, this is a great picture to take a great slide to take a picture of. Start something new. Get outside. Those who believe can achieve. I believe that I can be the creator, director, producer of my life. Therefore, I know I'm going to start taking action in it. I'm going to say yes to new opportunities versus hiding in a corner with excuses. So grab a blank piece of paper and write, what new habit will you start? What new place would you go visit? How will you start to trust yourself? And what is something that you will learn? This is a fun activity because again, if you got anything from this, it's all about action, right? I can't make change till I take action, and I have to take repeated action. And then be flexible with your goals. Do not ever feel like, oh, because this is my goal, I'm stuck to it. I can't change. That's so not true. Life is always changing. 2020 proved that to us. Be adaptable. Allow yourself to be flexible. I had this goal, it didn't work out. But you know what? If I didn't have that goal, I would not be where I'm at today to make this new decision, to make this more impactful decision, to make a more empowered decision. It's part of the journey. It's not the destination. I want you to write that down. Your life is a journey. It's not a destination. So it's okay to be rerouted. It's part of your journey. You can't get to, like, if you're in California, I can't get to Florida driving unless I go through Texas. But if I get to Texas and say, I actually want to go up north, that's okay. That was part of my journey. I wouldn't know I wanted to go up north till I got to Texas. So, to recap, 5 secrets to ditch imposter syndrome and create unshakable self confidence. You're going to define your values and draw new boundaries. You have now tips on how to defeat self sabotage. You know what it means now to create self awareness. You're going to identify and recognize what your strengths, your superpowers are, and what new things are you going to do to develop new success habits. Okay, so we are ready for Q&A.
Does anyone in the audience have a question? If not, I have a couple that were pre-submitted. Some of it I believe you've answered, but there were a couple that I wanted to look at. Is should one take, so someone asked, should one take roles that one can be confident in succeeding at versus taking roles where I might be pushed beyond my boundaries?
So I would ask and challenge you, what's wrong being pushed outside your boundaries? Sometimes we want to play it safe, right? We were like, oh, I want more, but I'm not willing to commit to do more. I want it to be handed to me. And that doesn't happen, right? And then we wonder, wow, how come this person who has less skills than me is doing more, is getting paid more, has a higher position, got promoted? It's because they were willing to push their comfort zone, and they probably also spoke up. They made sure that they were seen, that they were recognized, that they were heard. So I challenge you, what's wrong with stepping outside your comfort zone? It's all about having a network. Do you have your tribe of people who are there to lift you up when you fall down? Do you have a tribe of people around you to support you, to encourage you, to motivate you, so you know you're never doing anything alone?
Excellent. One question was, how do you know if you have imposter syndrome versus just being in a place that is misaligned? And this is an interesting question because I read an article recently where the authors were stating that imposter syndrome is we've created a culture that predominantly values a certain group, right? And so if I don't fit in, is it because I have imposter syndrome or is it because I'm in a culture now that was never designed for me in the first place?
So that's a great question. So there's a few answers in that one. So the first one is self-awareness. Am I inserting myself where I shouldn't be? Am I in a culture that is not in alignment with where I want to go, how I want to show up? So let's say the answer is yes. Yeah, that's self-awareness. I'm inserting myself in a place that I don't belong. So now you're like, I can make better decisions now. Where do I belong? Who needs me? What type of culture do I want to be a part of? And then imposter syndrome kicks in when you're telling these false stories where you're like, I do fit in here, but I choose to remain silent. I choose to remain unseen because I have fear. But now you have fear as a new acronym, false evidence appearing real. You want to ask yourself, am I here because they hired me to, they hired me to use my voice, or am I here because I think I'm a fraud? So these are questions that as a coach that I would work on with my clients. Like, what is the truth here? And a lot of it, we can't push ourselves, right, to like tell the hard truth. So we keep it superficial. Oh, other people are louder. They just take up more space. So I just play small because I can't compete. Well, who says you can't compete? You just maybe don't have the right skills in place yet, or you have not had that encouragement and support around you to lift you up and let you know you are enough and you deserve to be heard. And you have more to say than you probably realize.
Thank you. And I think I have time for one more question. How does one know when imposter syndrome is gone?
Well, I like to say you never want imposter syndrome to be gone. This is why. Because you always want to be challenging yourself. If imposter syndrome was gone, life would be too easy, right? You'd have no challenges. You want imposter syndrome to kind of be a little bit there to energize you, to get you excited, to say like, ooh, for me, I like challenges. So I'm like, oh, my first instinct is to go into like, oh, someone's doing it better. Well, why can I not do it better than them? So again, imposter syndrome had forced me to think even bigger. If I didn't have it, I would just be like, "Oh, why bother? They got it made. They got the people, they got the structure. I don't need to participate. No one wants to hear me." Versus, "Oh, well, why not me? I have something different too. I have applied experience. I have expertise that they don't have." So we always want a little bit of imposter syndrome, but in a positive way to get us energized, to get us excited, to tap into pushing our boundaries.
Thank you so much. Just a reminder, everyone, this recording will be available, emailed to you or on YouTube. So please replay it. There's so much information in here. And Renee is on LinkedIn. She's also on Instagram. What's your handle there, Renee?
Empowered coach.
Empowered
Coach.
Coach?
For both
Okay.
of them.
Okay, for both of them. Excellent. So please do connect with her, follow her. She has a ton of information. She's been amazing. And thank you all for joining us this
Yeah.
afternoon. We really, really appreciate it. And I look forward to working with all of you again in the future. Thank
All right.
you.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Well, thank you, Renee, for your time. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. Great information. So.